Hello, everybody. Welcome again to the families. What is this called? Start off. Let's start off.
Murders, mysteries, unexplained stories, and our family's crazy opinions on them all. Join us now. The Family School of Thought is in session.
Okay, welcome everybody to another week of the Family School of Thought.
Hello.
Weather here is hot.
Yeah. Muggy.
Okay. How's it in Portland?
It is not muggy, but it is hot. I wouldn't say it's like insanely hot. It's 75 degrees, so it's not crazy, but you get to wear short sleeves.
Yeah, we're in tank tops too. We're supposed to have thunderstorms tonight.
Yeah, we went from cold to hot, and that's going to be cold again.
It just keeps.
That's why I sound the way I do.
Yeah. It keeps teasing us. But we are supposed to get. I got a weather alert, and we're supposed to be because of the weather. We're going to be under extreme warnings for thunderstorms.
Oh, so I probably need to get out of the woods.
Yeah.
What?
Did anybody watch the meteor shower last night?
No, I was too tired to go outside. Did you?
No, Matt and I had planned it was like for us in Michigan, it wasn't supposed to, I think it was like around 1:00 in the morning. And Matt and I are like, oh yeah, we'll do that. And we were both asleep probably by 10. So yeah.
That's stupid.
And we're like,
Saturday night.
that was last, it was, so no, it was last
Monday.
Was it Monday?
Yeah, it was last night.
Yeah, last night or the night before. And we had planned on waking Odin up so he could go out and watch it and stuff too. But then, and it would have been great if like no clouds, nothing. So
I know it was.
Saturday, we were all around the campfire, so we should have been paying attention. But
it was last night. So you guys would have
been. And it was raining up there during the campfire.
But there was supposed to be like 1,000 meteorites.
Yes.
Like in an hour,
I seen that on the news last night. I watched the news and then I went to bed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Just, you got a fun fact for us?
So speaking of, meteors and all that kind of stuff, this one is a mental floss amazing fact. It's about space. So, and, feminism type stuff too. So when Sally Ride made her first space flight in 1983, she was both the first American woman and the youngest American to make the journey to the final frontier, which opened her up to being asked such ridiculous questions as, will the flight affect your reproductive organs, and do you weep when things go wrong? And her response to those types of questions was, how come nobody ever asks a male astronaut these questions?
Mm-hmm.
What year was this?
1983. And when they sent her up, it was like a 6-day trip. Yeah. And they sent 100 tampons with her, or pads,
100 tampons.
Whatever.
Well, she was prepared.
I don't even think it was her
6 days.
They could have used them for crafts or something.
Maybe she left them up there and they didn't have to send any more up ever.
Yeah, then
Yeah, it was a lifetime supply for whoever went the next time.
Yeah. Tampons are very useful for other things, if you get a nosebleed, just jam one up there, but if you need to clean something, it's super absorbent, spill your water, just throw one out and it'll suck it all right up.
Wow.
So I thought it was
I'm not surprised at that.
No, me either, but still, that's like less than, that's about 40 years ago, I guess, 1983, almost.
I remember
39.
when I was in HR, we were looking up we had a person that worked for us for like 40 years. So this would have been probably 20 years ago, but she had worked there 40 years. And we were going to have this big celebration for her. So I pulled her original file. And on the application, it asked if her husband was okay with her working there.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 20 years ago, I was like, are you, what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Nope, no thank you.
Mm-mm.
And she said yes. He was.
Oh,
that's
good.
good.
Good. She wouldn't have had the job if he would have
Because
said
Doreen
no.
wouldn't have been there 40 years if it wasn't
Well,
for
she
her
could have
husband.
lied and said, yeah, he has my permission.
I'm sure at the time they followed up on it. Like,
I'm sure too. Yeah.
Doreen's husband, really? You're okay with her coming here by herself?
I doubt it.
I doubt it too, but I just thought it was funny. I remember that. I kind of passed it around at a meeting. I'm like, okay, we did make some progress here. Here's what she fell out.
Some.
Yeah,
Some.
So this was 20 years ago too. So
Okay.
okay, Jess,
Cassie.
Me.
what? I'm a little under the weather. That's why I'm acting a little loopy. I can't wait to get off of this so I can take some serious drugs.
Well, that's
Serious.
perfect.
I was thinking of taking the
Perfect.
serious drugs beforehand. Then it would make it really fun. But better not. Okay, Cass, go. What's that song?
Well, this one's definitely a trip. So
Oh, awesome.
I'm your kind, and I see. Come on, come on. My life is yours.
Okay, tell me why I thought that was a good song and no, I don't.
okay, so I'm surprised you don't know this already. Maybe you do, and you can't think of it right now.
He's
But so
loopy.
he's loopy right now. So this is the song "Never Learn Not to Love" by the Beach Boys, or as it was originally titled, "Cease to Exist," written by the Charles Manson.
You know what?
Oh,
You know what?
I did not know
This is
that.
one of my topics.
Yes.
This is one of my topics because really they stole that song from him.
Yes. So so it depends on who you ask. They say Dennis.
I'm not
So
messing with him. I believe him.
no. So it's pretty well known now that Charles Manson was friends with Dennis Wilson from the Beach
Yeah.
Boys. They like lived together for a really long time.
Right.
And Charles was always trying to get his songs out. He was trying to become an artist, a recording artist. Right. And so he wrote this song and sent it in as a demo to the Beach Boys producer, Terry Melcher. And they used it. But they changed, they say they changed a bunch of lyrics in it. And they say he sold them the rights for like a wad of cash. Like that's all it says is a wad of cash, which for Charles Manson probably happened. But later on, Terry Melcher said that they cut him out of the rights, Charles, because he was a like thief and they didn't trust him anymore. But yeah, this
And
song.
he didn't realize it until they sang that song on.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Ed Sullivan or one of those shows.
Yeah.
So the Beach Boys are singing it, and he.
Yeah, I think they told him that they weren't even going to use it. Like they're like, no, we don't really like this song.
Right, they did.
And
And
Terry
then,
Melcher.
I'm
but
sorry.
Terry Melcher is the person he's going to. Terry Melcher, the producer of this song, is the house that he thought Charles Manson was going to, but Terry Melcher had already sold the house at that point.
Okay, so
Oh.
the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson, had a big house, and Charlie Manson moved in with his whole clan.
Mhm.
You know, and they really took over the house. They were just renting it, but they couldn't get rid of them, so the Beach Boys just moved. They just moved out of the house, and which made them mad, right? So then, that Terry Melcher, who was Doris Day's son, you know who Doris Day is, right? That's her son. He's the one who kept trying to say, okay, you know, you're okay, but we're not going to help you in your career because there's just too much going on with you. And he kept pushing them away. So when he went up to the house to murder them, that's who he thought he was going to murder. And Doris Day talked them into moving out of that house because she could see this guy was crazy and going to cause problems. So she talked her son and his girlfriend. I can't think of who it is. Oh, you know who it was?
I just closed the page too.
No, it was.
I had her name up. Yeah, she's a famous, and I had her name up.
Yeah, she's very famous. Her dad was then Murphy Brown.
The page.
Who's the Murphy Brown girl?
Oh,
Hold on.
I don't
You wanna
remember.
talk
I
about-
know who you're talking. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of her name.
Oh shoot, what's her name?
Candace
Candace
Bergen.
Yes. So her dad was Charlie Bergen. But anyways, so her dad was Charlie Bergen and his mother was Doris Day. And she talked them to moving out of that house because she had fears of what was going to happen. So they did, and that's when they went up and killed Sharon Tate and all those people. They thought they were killing Candace
Candace
Bergen.
Bergen.
Is that not weird?
That is weird. Yeah.
That's really creepy. Yeah.
And they still, even after all this happened, they still went on to sing Never Not Learn to Love.
Yeah.
Like they continued to sing the song.
Right. And it's not a bad song.
It's not a bad song, but it's written by Charles Manson.
You know
Yeah,
what? It's
a little
really not
creepy.
a bad song, but it's not a typical Beach Boys song either.
No, it's not. No.
Like if you heard that, if you didn't know the story, you wouldn't think, "Oh, that's the Beach Boys." Just sounds like one of those '60s, Mamas and the Papas kind of sounding groups, But isn't that weird? How that all played out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Yes. Right. All right.
There you go.
Gosh, you amaze
That's
me.
a story in itself.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it was. I was actually thinking about doing that as a story.
I was worried. I was like, I feel like this is the week that someone's going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say though too, with our song selections or Cassie's song selections, I just want it to be known to all of our listeners on TikTok. It's like this new thing. Hanson is like everywhere, and it's like people are finally really realizing.
No,
My generation, it's
I
No,
haven't
they're
seen a
finally
single
really-
thing about Hanson.
Yeah.
They are everywhere.
Okay, maybe it's
They
just
are
on my
everywhere on TikTok, but they
okay,
really
haven't
maybe
seen a
it's on
single
my
thing.
For You page. But no, it's like my generation are like saying like, wow,
back.
like this song. No, it was like the Bop song. They're talking about like if you really listen to the lyrics, they're really deep, which we just talked about. It's about keeping the relationships that are the ones that are supposed to last and the true relationships and stuff. So just wanted to bring that up.
Okay.
We're not the only ones talking about it.
We
And
will go
Hanson
with
is
that
single
still
thing.
relevant.
for you.
I haven't seen a single thing about Hanson on
Okay, well,
Everything I have
it's on my
seen,
For You page.
They're talking about the boy bands and about the time, and then and then there was this group called, what are they called? The Hansons.
Hanson.
But anyways, we're gonna go with your version, Jess.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think people are starting to realize it, and it's a good song, and people are finally starting to admit it.
Why don't they make
It's a
some
good
new
song.
music? I know they have, but why don't they do something?
They're on tour
We talk
right
about this
now.
every single episode. They are
Oh my
on
God.
tour.
Oh boy. Okay.
Get with it.
Wake up.
Okay. I told you I was on. No, I'm not on drugs yet, but I'm gonna be. Okay. A little loopy. Okay, let's get going this week. I've got one. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of this, but it's the Sodder family.
Okay,
Do you know it?
Yep. I do.
Okay.
I think so,
So,
but
back in Christmas Eve of 1945, I'm just going to read this. It was well below zero outside,
Mhm.
and it was in the middle of the night. 5 family members escaped the house fire, and 5 members did not. Things turned from total sadness to surreal when they were told there was no trace of the 5 missing children. So this family had 10 children. 5 got out, and the other 5, they didn't get out. There was no trace of them ever being in the house.
So where are they?
And so that left the family with no hope of burying them or having any closure.
yeah,
That-
Mom, she wants to know where they are.
We're getting to that.
It's the whole part of the story.
We are 1 minute in, Mom.
The West
So
Virginia
what happens to them?
the West Virginia State Police were really kind of negligent in the whole deal because what happened was a fire broke out a bystander came by. Now, this is 1945, right? Just
Mhm.
after the war. And this
Mhm.
family was celebrating Christmas, and two of their sons were in the war. And they both
Okay.
were supposed to come home for Christmas, come home on Christmas Eve. So they were planning this big celebration. 10 kids, mom and dad. And one of them got deployed at the last minute or couldn't come. So it was a really big disappointment to the whole family. So they were kind of all bummed. And the parents, George and Jenny, did their best to move on. However, after this, but however, after a few years, it just got gnawing at them that there was no proof that these 5 children left. I'm going to try to post something up here too. So, they were, they never confirmed that these children were ever there or died in the accident. What happened was, like I said, they were planning this big celebration. One daughter who was 17 worked all day, and she bought the young kids a bunch of toys, not a bunch, but some Christmas toys to kind of try to lighten the mood. So she come home and at like 9:30, and at 10:30, the parents said, well, we're going to go to bed, and we're going to take the youngest, who was 3, with them. She slept in their room. It was a 2-story house, and the parents slept in the main floor bedroom with the 3-year-old. Upstairs, there was a boys' room and a girls' room. And this 17-year-old slept on the living room couch. So she talked the parents into letting the kids stay up so they could play with their toys and, try to be a little bit festive because of the brother not being there. And at, let's see, so they went to bed at 10:30. At 11:30, the phone rang, and the mother, this is 1945, you had one phone in the house, and it was in their office. So it was on the other side of the house. So the mother gets up from her bedroom, walks all the way across the house, and answers the phone. And there was a woman on there that said, she said she was either drunk or they were playing a joke on her because it was like a prank call. So she hung up, said, I haven't got time for this, hung up, went back to bed. And then, like 30 minutes later, she heard like a big rock hit the metal roof of the house. So she thought, she was going to wake her husband, but then she's kind of whatever, so she went back to sleep. Well, then at, I forget what time, I want to say like 12:30, she's awakened again, but this time because there's smoke in her bedroom. So she gets up, goes to the office to call the fire department, but the wall is all in flames, and the phone, where the phone is and the electricity that comes in, it's all right there in that corner. And it's on the other side of the house. So she goes back and wakes up her husband, and tells her the house is on fire. She goes, she's seen Marion, with the 17-year-old, sleeping on the couch, but she didn't see any of the kids. So she yells upstairs and says, fire, everybody get out. And two of the boys go to the other bedroom and yell at the kids to come out, but they never actually seen them, right? So now the mother goes and runs out the back of the house, which I thought was kind of weird because you ran, left your family all in there. Right. Then father gets up and runs out the front of the house. Then the sister, Marion, who's 17, goes in and gets the 3-year-old, and she runs out the side of the house, right? So, and she's like, get out, everybody, it's on fire and everything, So they go outside, and the 2 boys came out, and they had some burns on them because they were coming down the steps and it was on fire, but they made it out. And the father, now they realize there's 5 kids are still in the house, and he goes to get a ladder that always was propped up against their house. Well, first he goes to break open a window that's in the stairway, and he cut himself like really bad, and the flames were in there, right? So he goes over and he gets this. He's going to get this ladder that was always propped up against their house, but the ladder's gone. So then he goes, him and the two brothers, they go and get. They had a trucking company, and he was pretty successful at it. So they go to get this big truck, and they're going to pull it up to the house, hoping the kids, they'd be that much higher, where they could get the kids out. But the truck stalls, and it won't go nowhere. So a passerby comes by and is trying to help. But there's, again, 1945, you don't have cell phones, you don't have anything. So Marion runs to the neighbor, which is a long ways away, runs all the way over there, and the lady goes to call the fire department. But this is back in the days of the operators are sticking, the cords in, and it's Christmas Eve. There's nobody there.
Nobody working.
She can't get to the fire department. So then this passerby runs all the way into Fayetteville. I mean, completely different town. Gets the chief of police out of bed. Goes to his house, gets him out of bed, and he's like, now it's like 1:30, and he goes, well, I don't have anybody that knows how to drive the truck. I don't know how to drive it. It's really too late. And he goes back to bed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so then this guy goes back to this house, and there's these two guys there, passerbyers, but they see him messing with the telephone wire, right? Which was weird. And actually he catches them trying to steal stuff. So he kind of shoos them off, right? But he knows who they are. So he shoos them off. So then, the house just burns to the ground. I mean, no, the fire department didn't come. They didn't come until 9:30 the next morning from another town. And by that time, the house had completely burned down, and it all kind of like fell into the basement,
Right.
So the chief of police and the West Virginia Police Department come, and they're like, well, there's really nothing we can do. So they start searching for body parts from these five, and they can't find any, right? So the chief of police says to them, well, why don't we just take 5 things of ashes, and we'll bury those for each of your children. Yeah. So, and at the time they were like, they're stunned. They don't, they're like, okay. But then, so they do that, and they have funerals for these 5 with the ashes, right? But now they start thinking about this, and they're like, wait a minute. There's no proof that those 5 kids were ever in the house. And he had a really successful trucking company, and he before that, he worked for another guy, a trucker, and he went out on his own, and he became very successful. So that guy had it out for him, right? So he's coming up with all these theories of what could have happened. There's also 1945, I'm sure you guys heard of the Lindbergh kidnapping.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff was in the news.
Yeah.
There was also in the news at the time about child black market labor, where they kidnap kids.
Yeah.
So all this is going through their heads of all these things that could happen. So they finally, like a couple of years later, he hires an investigator to investigate. And they start digging up all this stuff. So they go to the chief of police, and they're like, why would you do that? You didn't even look to see if there was anything. And he said, well, actually, there was a heart, and I put it in a little small box, wrapped it in newspaper, and buried it in the basement. And so they were all like, what? Why are you telling us this now? Like, you found a heart and you buried it in the basement? Because 2 days after the house burnt down, they had a bulldozer come in and just completely push everything into the basement. So everything's gone, right?
Oh my God. So yeah, destroyed everything.
Now, and of course, now it's in the news, and now it's a big conspiracy, right? And the Sodders want it in the news. They want a lot of attention because of this, because they don't believe that their kids were ever in this house. They think somebody kidnapped them, and then set the house on fire to cover it
Right.
up. You know.
Right.
So this, this goes on about why he would have done that, and then they hire somebody to dig up the entire area, and they find 6 little human bones. Right, but 4 of them, 2 of them were unidentifiable, and 4 of them were to like a 16-year-old boy,
Oh.
and the
Okay.
oldest one that died was 14. So it didn't really kind of match, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So so then they try to sue. They're doing all this stuff to get they end up hiring 3 different investigators, and they had a lot of people pulling scams on them. We know where they're at. Give us some money. We'll give them. People were scamming because it was a big deal at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids were from, I can't remember, 5 to 14 years of age. All the other ones were older, except for the 3-year-old that was survived. And so really they spent the rest of their lives trying to solve this murder, and they went on, they were in national newspapers, and, they just kept it up. They literally put up a huge billboard. Their house was on a big highway, and their business was in the house too. So, their trucking business, and she did the books, and it was all on this house, and they lived on a big highway. So they put up this huge billboard with a reward and they had pictures of all these kids, reward of anybody that could find these kids. There's a
Were the parents ever investigated as being suspects? Because it is kind of weird that the 2 parents escaped from the house.
Escaped the house, and
then
what I thought
left
was
all
really
their
weird,
kids.
or what I thought was very interesting, all the things that we have in place today, and that they didn't have.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna escape. Okay, if the house burns down, everybody go to the barn. You know what I mean?
Right.
They
Yeah.
didn't have that, so everybody just scattered and went wherever. The phone.
Well, even we have those things on our windows now that if because I remember when I was a kid, I had a little thing on my there's
right. I mean, there's
Which
so
you
many
shouldn't be
things.
using those, listeners. Those are not good
that's
because that's
probably not the best
same
idea.
as that's
They
the same
stopped-
as using those little decals
I
on
have
your
it on
car
my
that says
Yeah, they stopped putting them on windows because people knew
because
that there was
people
a child.
knew exactly
Knew where the
kids
child
would be.
was. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But anyways,
Well, mine was on the
can you
second
imagine
floor.
The house burns
I
down. They have to go to the next town to get the fire chief out
Yeah.
of bed, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm tired.
Eh,
It's just gonna burn down, and nobody knows how to drive the truck, and we'll be there in the morning." Like,
What police chief would do something like that? I mean,
One
I
that
don't-
was probably out partying too much on Christmas.
and it was
Well,
Christmas Eve,
and we
so,
also have
Christmas
recent
Eve, yeah.
news of that happens all the
Yeah.
time.
yeah,
Stand outside and
that sounds like something that just
an hour.
happened.
Just happened.
75 minutes to get to
They were already there.
19 kids to get in to rescue them, but
right.
decided that their life was more important than 19 children.
Right. They had, let's see.
Wasn't there something where people in a couple towns over said that they saw 2 of the children?
Right. Of course, people are in a frenzy, and they're mad.
Right.
So they were spotted in the next town. One of the things, maybe 5 years later, there was a news story on CBS or something. Actually, it was in Look magazine, but it was, and it was about orphan kids and the school that they send them to. And so they had pictures of these kids, and the mother swears that one of those is her daughter.
Yeah.
So they go
wow.
go to New York to the school because they want to meet this girl, and they wouldn't let them in, and it just but so there was that. They also had a thing where they thought the mother's brothers kidnapped them and took them to Florida because they were spotted in that area, 5 of them. And as years go by, they're spotted, but it's years afterwards, so they kind of look like them, but I'm not really sure. Yeah. And, one guy, I don't know, maybe 20 years into it, sends a picture of himself and he looks like just like, okay, this boy, if he 20
Yeah.
years later,
Right.
this is what he would look like. And so they went and paid a bunch of money to this guy, and of course once he gets money, he just took off, you know. So they had a lot of people like doing that kind of stuff. Yeah. But they did fear that it was child trafficking. You know, they were kidnapped for that. They were kidnapped for ransom. They were kidnapped for they never really explained why she thought her brother would kidnap. And it was brothers. She thought they would have kidnapped them and, you know, made them move there.
So they never came up with the kids. So the
They
kids
never did find them. The Sodders spent the rest of their lives trying to find these kids, and they never did.
The mother and father did.
Right. And even after the mother and father died, the father died in 1969 and the mother died in 1987. The rest of the family continued, you know, to keep putting this story out there. And it's like one of the biggest stories ever, you know, done, because they just kept it in the news the whole time. And so people would come all over the country to try to investigate this, you know.
Well, that's pretty strange.
Yeah.
And how could they just disappear into thin air?
Right. Because they said, the coroner said, there's no way a house fire would incinerate, you know, like
everything, like the teeth would survive, or
it's not, they wouldn't cremate them. So there's got to be remains there. But they never found them. They even dug up all the property.
Well, it's kind of suspicious too that they couldn't find any remains when they were looking initially, but then when they redug things up, they were able to find bones. So there were bones placed there on purpose.
Right. Well, one of the theories is too, like I said, he was very successful. And this other guy who he worked for was angry about that. And it's a small town, so they figured like even the chief of police was probably in on it, you know, where you know the bodies are there, but they just refuse to find them. Oh, I know another weird thing. So they dig up this basement and they find the box with the heart in it.
Oh yeah, okay.
So they take it to, instead of taking it to the police, they take it to the mortician in town.
Right.
And he opens it up and says, this is a human liver, not a heart.
It's not even a heart.
So, and it's wrapped in newspaper, and it looks fresh. And we're talking like years later, but I guess But I guess they stay, heart and liver stay.
Right.
But anyways, so he takes it and wraps it back up, puts it in the box, and puts it out on the back porch.
So a stray animal can get it.
He wanted the I don't know, the state or something to come get it.
Yeah.
And it stunk really bad. So he put it out on the back porch. Well, then 2 days later, they show up to get it, and it's missing. So it was never found.
Probably an animal, stray animal.
Or anything, just anything.
Oh, you know, in 1940, well, they had been about 1949 at that point. Oh, they didn't know how to handle anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one guy going, oh, let's just do this, let's do that. You know, they had no procedures to doing anything.
Yeah, that is
crazy.
No
wonder they didn't know what a heart looked like or a liver.
Right.
And we are thinking that it was done in
wasn't that strange that they dug it up and sure enough they found one? Like where he said it was?
Yeah, that is really strange.
That's just crazy.
It just, to me, it sounds like it was like planted.
Well, that's what I thought. You know, like, obviously, maybe it was just planted there, and they probably just put a liver in there because what the hell does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, who's going to know one from the other? And they, instead of taking it to the police, they took it to a mortician, who probably gave them the liver to put down there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And the phone cords were cut at the house, and those two guys that they thought were stealing ended up, you know, being the ones who cut the wire. So why would they have reason to cut the wires of a house that's on fire? You know?
Right.
Yeah. And they figured that's what happened to the ladder. The ladder, you know.
Somebody took it.
Right.
Yeah.
But and the father's big thing was like that ladder sat there forever obviously somebody took it so we wouldn't be able to get to that room.
Right.
And there was even
And so,
questions about
so what was the sex of the kids that would come up missing? The 5 kids. Was it boys?
It was boys. No, it was like boys and girls.
Yeah, it was boys.
Because I remember it was like a daughter and then there was a son that they were looking into.
Right. And even the oldest son, they was kind of in question of why did he not come home? I mean, maybe there was some kind of involvement in that too. But
yeah, maybe he was a little higher up in the army than what he admitted to, and the siblings were taken as a ransom against the brother.
The service.
Well,
so
it's torture.
The case has never been solved, or it never will be. There's another house there where that house was at, and after the mother died, that was in 1987, they sold the property. But
there is DNA, so why hasn't?
Not in 1945.
Well, right.
Well, I know, but the kids that, if they're still alive, and they were,
that could be something too, because that's how a lot of
these people are coming forward.
So, yeah, but that's a lot of these decade-old mysteries are being solved because people are doing those DNA tests now.
Yeah,
the genealogy stuff.
Yeah.
Lots of family secrets are being found out this way.
Wouldn't that be awesome if, because of 23andMe, they found those 5 missing kids?
Could find out.
That would be. Although it is a little, with those kind of situations, it's got to be devastating because those, for everybody all around, one, you have 5 missing siblings that you've missed out on your life and upbringing, but then those 5 kids, that's got to be traumatizing to them if they are found, because who knows what they went through. Did they have a loving family, or now they're trying, maybe they blocked it out, but they all seem like they're old enough.
Or
they were old enough
what
at
they
the
were
time.
told.
Yeah,
I mean,
what
I'm sure
they were told.
like, horrible stories about why they're not there.
Right.
Probably,
Or
like,
if they were
if they were part of
or if they were part of a sex ring kind of situation, that's got to be traumatizing to those kids in that aspect.
Well, I think there was even theories that they ran away. Like it was the kids who set the fire. And that's why they were already outside the house when it started.
Because maybe the parents were not so great and they were abusive parents.
10 kids is a lot of kids.
What is that one family where they had like 10 kids?
Yes.
In recent within the last 10 years.
And the kid had to escape and warn people.
Yeah, and they people
that kind of makes
the
sense
kids
a
were
little
like
bit that
10
the
and
parents
they were
went
like
to bed
20
early, and that sister kind of took care of the kids and trying to smooth things over.
And the eldest brother who wasn't there that night had set it up, he picked him up and took him somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Ooh, that's an angle. The sister, her name was Marion, so she kept the kids up so they could play with their toys and celebrate. But she fell asleep on the couch, so she doesn't know when they ever went to bed. And maybe they never did.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that is kind of, maybe they just walked out the front door, or yeah. I mean, maybe there is something more sinister with that family that, I mean, to go from the ages 5 to 14, that's a huge age difference to
well,
I don't know.
It seems like I remember, and I didn't see it in this story, and I maybe got some confused, but that 3-year-old wasn't really their daughter. It was the oldest son's daughter. And she had mental problems, but in 1945, you didn't have a kid out of wedlock. So the parents adopted her and said it was theirs.
Yeah.
And,
I could see that.
And it was the kid to the one that never showed up. Maybe I'm getting more confused, but I remember it seems like.
Well, that's kind of similar. Yeah, that would make sense though too. That's similar to the Robert Frost situation, where wasn't that the same thing where they adopted his son's daughter because it was out of wedlock or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't think of who that. The name sounds familiar, but I can't think of that story at all.
These stories are all starting to come together.
Yeah, they're all. Yeah.
Wait, have we done Robert Frost, or is that something we haven't done
No,
yet?
no, no.
Okay,
We
okay.
learned about this at we learned about this at Greenfield Village. This is
Oh,
something we
got
learned
it.
about it.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Got it. Mhm.
We went to Robert Frost's house and we learned about all the.
Right,
Now
right,
it's
right.
It's clicking. It's clicking.
But that would, yeah. I don't know. That's, I don't know. To me though, too. I mean, it would kind of make sense if the kids were trying to run away, but why leave the other?
Why?
Was it 5
14.
kids? So there's 12 people in the family total then. So 10 kids, 2 parents.
Yes.
Is that what it is? Okay. Yeah. So then why, if there is like an abusive or sinister type of situation, why leave the other 5? How old were
Well,
the ones that
really,
are surviving?
the ones,
So you
all
have
the
the
ones who survived are
17-year-old.
older.
I was just
So
gonna say that. Yeah.
the 3-year-old's the only one that survives that's
Right,
younger than
right,
14.
right. All the ones that survived were older, except for the 3-year-old.
Yeah, see, and that's a weird situation to me. I mean, think about
Well,
like
that was
with
just because
us.
those 5 slept in one room. You know what I mean? Just because of their
Yeah, but-
ages, that's where they
Right.
slept.
And I get that, but still, like, if my house caught on fire, like as a mom, my first place would be to go to my child that wouldn't know what to do.
But
And
it's a different time, and we're drilled with those safety rules and what to do if there's
Yeah.
a fire. They weren't then.
Yeah.
So the mom.
Yeah,
I
I
know,
guess
but
that
it's a mother's instinct. You save your
I know.
your child's life before you save
Well,
somebody
once
else.
you have that many kids, like
Yeah, I
the
think that's-
17-year-old girl's probably already taking care of
I
everybody.
was just gonna say,
Right,
yeah.
right, right. It sounded
I
like that
betcha it was
17-year-old really took care of all the kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That
When you're
happened a
having-
lot
yeah.
back then.
Yeah, when you take care, when you have that many kids, the older ones are
My
taking care of the
mother was
younger
really
ones.
raised by her brother, you know.
Right, right.
Right. So for some of those parents, it's already ingrained in their brain that
Right.
that the oldest is probably going to get them, right?
Right.
Which I don't know. To me, that's like, I don't know. It is. It's a different time, but to me, that's like
Is it-
bad parenting.
That happened a
You
lot
have
back
the
then.
kids.
So many things about that story
Yeah,
that today
Yeah.
would be like, okay, you know,
Absolutely not. Yeah.
there's a fire, everybody meet at the barn, you know, like you just drill
Yeah.
that into your kids, you know, or
Yeah.
you know, you can't call the police, you know, like have a way
Yeah.
or have if there's a fire, you know, Lucy, you go to the neighbors and get them, you know, we'll all
Yeah,
be in the
right.
like a plan,
Right.
which we
Well,
have
even-
today.
Yeah. Like just the fact that like yeah, I get that there was supposed to be workers who like plugged, the cords in, but there's really no like one emergency like number
No, there
that
was
it
nothing
doesn't
like that.
matter. It does not
There was
matter
no
what the day is.
911. No, it was.
Well,
it
no,
was-
I know that, but like there's even like today, like obviously in this generation there's things open 365 that doesn't matter for
Mhm.
holidays. So like
Right.
there really wasn't one phone operator that was like, you're the emergency phone operator that has to work Christmas Eve. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Awesome.
And that's
Yeah.
true. They did that kind of stuff back then. It's Christmas Eve. Everybody go home. You know, like
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Right.
nobody has to stay.
Back in those
Right.
But
days,
we
they
learned.
would
We
work
learned from
everything.
these types of
You
things.
know,
We learned from that.
They had holidays off.
Right. You know, a lot of like when here we had an operator when we 1st moved here, and it was
Yeah,
in her
I remember.
house. It was in her house. So
Yeah.
Wait,
you know,
what? Really?
Yeah.
yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Well, when we first moved there, I remember you only had to dial the last 4 digits.
And
of
you only
the
had to
phone
dial
number.
4 numbers,
Well, I get that, but like you had an operator
and she
in
would
the
listen to all
80s?
your calls.
Yeah.
And it was literally in her living room.
No.
So in that case, she would have been home.
Wow. How times have changed.
Yeah, that
Well,
wasn't that.
yeah.
We're talking cross country with video.
It was 30 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
I remember when we first moved out here. So my mother could be a little judgmental. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that, but first we come out here and we ate at the restaurant in town,
Mm-hmm.
and she's looking around. She goes, "Every woman here has the same haircut. Like there's one beautician in town, and everybody went to her." So she
And they
goes.
still do.
She says, do not get your hair cut here, right? And then this guy that we bought our house from, he had false teeth, but he had them made like his original teeth. So it stuck straight out because he didn't want people to know he had false teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So then my mother was like, do not go to a dentist in this town. And then all of a sudden they started clog dancing. They cut off Main Street and they started clog dancing in the middle of the strip. And my mother's like, get out of here.
No. I can't imagine what she would do if she saw clog dancers.
Yeah.
Like, all right, Bill, we're leaving. We're leaving.
Bill, we gotta get
Bill,
this kid
get in
out.
the
Our
car.
youngest is lost and he's not coming back.
And we'd already found a house in and we took it to them prior to that, and we had to pass the farm. And it was like August, hot August. And I mean, miles, nothing but stench. You know, she was like, no. You know, you cannot live here. You know? So that's when we found the house. But look how happy we've been here. Things have changed, yet they haven't really changed that much neither.
I don't know. All I know is if my house is on fire, as a mom, I think I would want to grab my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And make sure that they were out first.
Do you guys have a plan what to do if the house is on fire?
Well, you know, we have a smoke detector. And we have a
it's
nest.
It's not going to be all up to you to rescue everybody, right?
Are you kidding me? Do you know my husband and child? Yeah, it's going to be all up to me to rescue my mid-30s husband and my child as well. And whoever else is in the house.
Do you know how you're going to go about this?
Yeah.
You got it in your mind.
What is the plan?
Yeah, we're going to go out Odin's window, out the front of the house.
But what if the fire is in Odin's room?
Oh, it's okay. He's usually in our room anyways. We just go out the back window.
It's not like he'd be in his own room.
Well, I just meant like the plan was to go out his window. Like, what if the fire's at that
How about
window?
you, Cass? How about you, Cass? Because you sleep on the second floor, correct?
Yep.
So, what's your plan if the house is on fire?
Perish.
Jump.
I don't have a plan. I have no plan.
We were always going to get one of those rope ladders, you know, that you throw on.
Mhm.
But I figured Jordan would escape. And
Actually, this whole I can't really see. This whole window like moves. The whole thing moves, so I could fit out it. And there is an eaves trough like right below, so I could.
Oh, you're gonna climb down the eaves trough.
Parkour.
And someone usually parks right below, so I could just jump onto their car.
Just jump onto the car.
If need be.
So we have that Nest smoke detector, carbon monoxide, you know, whatever. And Matt was cooking bacon yesterday. And I don't know what he did, but the whole house is like billowing with smoke. Odin is taking a nap. This because Matt was cooking bacon for he was making hamburgers for dinner. And all of our windows are open because we have the air conditioning going, and Odin is sleeping. The fire detector or the smoke detector is like right outside his bedroom door. It's going off multiple times because there's just so much smoke, you know, kind of. He did not wake up once. A little scary.
You guys were all worried.
Just a little scary.
You guys were all worried about what you look like on the camera, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
D,
No, that
D,
was.
I know D has always had a plan for the kids to escape the house in case of a fire.
Yeah.
And regularly does fire drills, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
now,
we do.
if there was a real fire, would you be able to do it, or would you just totally freak out and the kids would just run for their lives?
No, I think Mom would do fine.
I can see right now. This is what
I
she
know.
did.
Your fire drill though, do you have to go downstairs at like no like I get like in the basement because I always remember the fire drill was down in the basement up the up that window, but like
we do
Well, if the house is
multiple.
on fire, you're not going to go into the basement.
Because I said if we're down in the basement playing, and
that's
the
when you go out the
smoke
window.
detector goes off, then we are to go out the basement window. But if we've done practicing and I put the one right off here because they were in the playroom.
Mhm.
And we go straight out the garage door out to the mailbox. So, you know, if we're on this main floor, we go either through the garage or out this, you know, if we can't get through the kitchen, you know, we go out. We've never went out the front door, but we've always gone through the garage.
Because if you
And then,
lost, you would be trapped.
Yeah,
How about a tornado? Is everybody prepared for a tornado?
yes, and when I blow the whistle, we go down to the fire. We go into the furnace room. So I mean, we've done them multiple times, and as soon as I blow the whistle, they stop and they know. You guys know, they know exactly. Hey, that's a tornado drill.
They are trained very well. You are the one I would worry about.
And I keep asking the kids, you know, the sad thing is I keep asking the kids, do you have a plan at home?
right.
They don't, you know, and that's pretty scary because I keep telling them you need a plan at your home for a fire drill.
Well, I think
Or at work.
fire, right? But I think like for like tornado and stuff like that, you know, like one, like okay, Odin is only 3, like he's not gonna be home alone by himself. So like we're gonna be there to tell him what to do, you know,
He's
with
probably
our
not gonna be able
board.
to read the instructions.
I know, but they still should, you know, like
Like
in
what?
case-
Like we're gonna be home with him. Like what? Like
Yeah,
we're
but
gonna
still,
be
he
there.
should know what to do, what to expect.
Yeah. What
And
if
he's not
you die in the fire and he
because
wakes
you're
up and you're already
probably going
dead?
to be panicking.
yeah,
You're
or, I
probably
mean,
panicking. So
they need to know. And then
I'm pretty good under pressure.
I've been kind of working on it, but now
She's had a few
it's kind of
experiences.
scary because I have my phone and it's in lock mode. And I'm thinking,
for
I
you,
need this.
you panic and not be able to get your phone out of lock mode.
Yes, I need to get that out because I keep telling the kids, if something were to happen to me and I
You do
fall.
have- I've seen it on your phone. You have a emergency.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
have
you
that.
do.
So I guess
I'm
I guess
sorry. Did
And
you just
Odin
say you need
does
to
know
figure
how-
out how to get your lock off your phone?
I know how to get
Stop
into
the
my
presses. Stop the presses. What?
I know how to unlock my phone, but the kids don't.
Odin,
No.
Odin knows how to get to the emergency part of it, because
Yeah.
that's how he would always call you guys on my old phone, at least,
Right.
because he would do the emergency and then he would see your faces and pull it up that way. But you know, I mean, he, and that's the thing too, Mom. You have to think your daycare kids that are 3 to 5, 6 years old, they know your phone better than you do.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Right.
they do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
100% they do.
I'm
No,
I'm thinking,
I'm sure that if they don't know your phone specifically, they will be able
The
to
house is
figure
on
it
fire.
out
Give the
better than
phone
you.
to Odin and tell him to call the police.
Yeah.
I know Odin would be able to do it, but I'm kind of worried about the other ones because I don't know that their parents ever let them touch their phones, or they don't know.
Okay.
Well, we don't really
Right.
allow Odin to either, but he knows how to use one.
Yeah, but
So
Well, I bet you the Sodders wish they had all this information.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sure.
Right. And of
it's
course,
it's a
everything
sad
is
it's a sad
for-
thing.
Can you read
It's
it?
a sad thing.
Yeah.
Entertainment
Yeah.
purposes only. So
And
don't
for 5
follow
kids to come
report
up
on us or
missing
anything like that.
and nobody care about the 5 kids missing, that's pretty scary too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not
Right.
worried about, like everything just got swept underneath the rug. That's pretty scary. That
Well,
Well,
it
they-
was different times.
The parents and the older kids literally kept this in the news for years.
Mhm.
I mean, for 70 years, they're trying to still find these kids.
When
And
Mom,
also-
you have to think about it. In 1945, how many kids are dying of just random things? How many kids are,
Mhm.
going off to war and dying? And how many kids are dying on the farm that they're working on? And
right.
so even just the fact, like, the thing is for the family, because there was this idea of no bones, no evidence of these kids being in the house, they believed that the kids weren't there. But the story is that they died in the fire. So people just hearing the story, like, yeah, the kids died in the fire. We move
Mhm.
on. Next story.
Mhm.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and they kept the pressure on that West Virginia police officer and the fire. They kept the pressure on them for years.
Good.
Mhm.
Okay. What else you guys got?
Maybe these kids were abducted by aliens.
Yep. Of course, it's got to be aliens. I'm surprised that's not one of the reasons. Because in 1945, when was Roswell? 1940, 1947.
I thought it was in the 50s, wasn't it?
No, I feel like it was. I felt it was like right after World War II, because one of the big theories is because we set off the atomic bomb, that's what caused them to come to warn us that we were idiots.
1947. Yeah. True.
Yeah. So there's that theory.
And there was a noise on the roof that never really
Right.
it's brought up, but nobody really ever has an explanation of
like,
what was on the roof.
After we're thinking that she says that's probably with them getting the ladder. You know, they kind of
Right. Yeah.
It was a tin roof. They probably hit it
Yeah.
with a ladder. Anybody got anything else for us?
Safety first. Have a plan.
Have
Yeah.
a plan.
Have a plan.
Have a
yeah.
plan.
Learn
Everybody
from
should
the
have.
past.
Make sure
Everybody
all of
should
your kids are outside the
And
house
maybe
before you
should
leave.
question your people in authority if they have a plan. What to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay,
Yeah,
everybody.
and
please-
election is coming up, so anybody that you want to be elected should know what they're doing. If something
that's
There
happens,
you go.
you have a plan
Everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Please, everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Email us any questions or any ideas for topics, and even email us if you think we're nuts. We know it.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be
We are nuts.
All right, guys. We'll
Good
see you
night.
next week.
All right. Bye.